Hello and welcome to all the Madridistas all around the world who are joining us live on YouTube for a special preview show live from the Bernabeu, where Lucas Navarrete is joining me, Kian Sobani. He is press row, and he is taking in what hopes, and I really hope it's just going to be another special night at the Bernabeu. This is a little something to tide you guys over, because if you're anything like me, nights like this where there's a lot of anticipation, big game coming up, the clock just goes really slow and you're just killing time. So hopefully this will help you kill some time as we get closer to kickoff. You know what else will tide you over? Go to managingmadrid.com for some written content. Mehdi Hassan has written a scouting report on Manchester City. Matt Wiltsey wrote a big article which confirms Ancelotti's theory that the officiating is better in the Champions League than it is in La Liga. Matt brought in some data to prove Ancelotti's point, and it's pretty interesting read. Go to managingmadrid.com for all of that. And as always, shout out to our presenting sponsors, as you can see behind me, our pals over at Moji Mates. If you head on over to moji-mates.com, use code CR7. This is a special in honor of Cristiano Ronaldo's birthday month. The code is available until the end of February. You can use code CR7 upon checkout over on moji-mates.com for a 20% discount. Today we're rocking Toni Kroos. As you can see on the shirt, we summon Toni Kroos, the spirit of Toni Kroos, his press resistancy, his ball progression, his leadership, composure. May it all be manifested on the field tonight. And of course, TAFC Academy, tacsports.ca for the best coaching in Toronto. If you're in Toronto, you want to enroll your kids to get the best coaching, partake in the best facilities in the city, go to tacsports.ca. March break coming up. Summer camps, believe it or not, are coming up, as far away as it may seem. Go to tacsports.ca. And with that being said, I talk too much. We got to get the ball rolling. Live from the Bernabeu with Lucas Navarrete, Manchester City versus Real Madrid preview.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there, and worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
So the very first thing I need to say before bringing Lucas into the show is that, remember, guys, please do not scramble after the game if you're looking for our post-game content. This is the biggest game of the month. And as you guys know the drill by now, the biggest game of the month, the Managing Madrid podcast, the post-game show, is only for members. You won't find it live on YouTube for free. So go to patreon.com/managingmadrid. Or if you're on YouTube, you can simply hit join on the YouTube memberships tab of this channel. There should be a join button underneath this video. Do not scramble. Do this before the game so that you're not looking for the link scrambling after the game. Lucas, live from the Bernabeu. Welcome, man. How you doing?
Hey, Ken. How's it going? I'm doing all right. But I have bad news for all of you superstitious people. We've been relocated for whatever reason. I don't know why. Remember, Kian, I don't know, at least the last time you've been here, we usually were sitting on the left side of the press row, and now we're on the right above the radio guys for whatever reason. So
you mean Managing Madrid specifically?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
I'm just used to the same place.
Same for me. Yeah.
Well, as someone said in the chat, someone please rub Lucas's shiny head for good luck. So whoever is there will have to ask them to rub your head before the game starts. Biggest shock, Lucas: Erling Haaland not in the lineup.
Yeah, shocking. Guardiola has talked to the media, to the broadcasting media, ahead of the game, and said that even though obviously Haaland was included in the squad list for tonight, Haaland himself told the coaching staff that he wasn't feeling all that well this morning in terms of the small injury he seemed to pick up during the weekend against Newcastle. So they decided to choose someone else for tonight, and Marmoush will be starting and leading the offense for Manchester City tonight.
That's massive. I mean, whether you can look at Erling Haaland's track record versus Real Madrid, and we've had good success in the past with the way Antonio Rudiger has defended him, the way Nacho has defended him. But even just like when he's not scoring, the complexion of their offense is so different because of the gravity he commands in the box, the presence he has. Now the way like Asensio and Rudiger defend kind of changes because they no longer have a target in the box. As if you look at Manchester City's starting lineup, I mean, it's just a different team. They're a smaller team. They have basically 4 players who can interchange and go in and around, and they're coming off a great 4-0 win over Newcastle where like basically everyone's in form. Marmoush looks great. Nico Gonzalez just slotted into midfield on his Premier League debut, looked great. So now he's in the starting lineup. That's one of the changes from the first leg. I'm a little bit surprised that Gundogan starts, but I suppose things just gonna get shifted around. Rico Lewis is not starting this game, so Husanov goes to right back, Ruben Dias and John Stones in the middle, Guardiola on the left, Gundogan, Nico, double pivot, and then you have Savio on the left, Foden on the right, Bernardo Silva in the middle, and Marmoush up top. But I'm sure he's not going to play as a de facto striker. Probably be a little bit more mobile than Haaland is normally. What concerns you, Lucas, the most on a night like tonight?
Just the fact that maybe the team wasn't expecting this, obviously, and the coaching staff. So, yeah, they can be a tricky offensive line to play against and to defend tonight just because of the lack of a pure, striker, really. So, I expect a lot of movement, plenty of switching in terms of their attackers and all that. And Rudiger and Asensio will have to be... Rudiger, Asensio and Tchouaméni also, I feel will have to be on point with all this movement I expect from Manchester City. So maybe weird to say, but I would be a little bit more comfortable maybe with Haaland just because, the team has probably planned and built the whole defensive plan and the whole defensive scheme towards stopping his presence. And now that he isn't there, and that, as you mentioned, Marmoush is a very different kind of attacker, it'll be interesting to see how both teams respond to Haaland's absence.
You had put out the predicted lineup, I think it was yesterday, on social media.
This morning, but yeah.
This morning. You got it bang on, obviously. I mean, you've done this a couple times, and it's always correct. Is this, in your opinion, the best starting 11 that Real Madrid can put out?
I said it on Twitter also like 5 minutes after reporting the starting lineup. I felt that I would have probably gone with Fran Garcia. But I understand Ancelotti's reasoning in the sense that, he has a result and a score to protect here, and that Mendy tends to be the more reliable option defensively. So it is what it is. I would have probably gone with Fran Garcia on the left, though.
I was saying it because, Lucas, if you remember, you and I did a mailbag last week, and you were pretty certain that Lucas Vazquez would start if healthy. And
right.
I had said to Matt, like, after the game on Saturday, I guess it was, we played, right?
Yeah.
I told him, like, I'm mentally preparing myself for this scenario where Vazquez is going to start right back, Rudiger and Tchouaméni are going to be center backs, Asensio's on the bench, and I'm just going to be shaking uncontrollably, just nervously. And I was just so relieved yesterday when Carlos said in the press conference that Vazquez is not ready to start.
Right.
I just put my hands together and I said thank you, because he also hinted at Asensio starting as well, and that Tchouaméni can play in midfield, which is exactly what happened.
He also kind of scared everyone by saying that Valverde wasn't feeling all that well after the game in Osasuna, against Osasuna, I should say. But yeah, Valverde is obviously a workhorse here and will not miss this crucial game. Also, he was, talking to the media yesterday.
Right.
So.
Well, have we ever had a situation where the player who does the press conference the day before the game does not start?
Not for a while. Definitely not for a while. So, yeah.
Ferland Mendy, I mean, I really didn't think it was realistic at all for Ancelotti to bench him. We can talk about how Fran Garcia has been better than Mendy this season, which I think is a true statement. But also, knowing Ancelotti, he has a certain level of trust for Mendy on a game like tonight where, you have to lock up the winger on that side. And you can argue whether Mendy can do that still at this age in 2025, but Ancelotti certainly has the trust factor in him. Tchouaméni, Ceballos, double pivot. I mean, I think this is pretty much, and apart from like the Mendy, Fran Garcia thing, this is Real Madrid starting. This is the Real Madrid's best
Yeah,
starting 11,
yeah,
which I think you kind of have stumbled upon because of injuries.
yeah,
Let's
exactly.
let's
I
be
mean,
honest.
if Vasquez were healthy, I think Valverde would have started instead of Ceballos. But yeah,
What do you make of this whole 1% thing that City are pushing?
it's just Guardiola messing around. I think he kind of admitted that himself yesterday, that
Yeah.
it was just a playful thing for him to say. I do think that they're still in it. The fact that away goals aren't as important as they were in years past kind of obviously increases Manchester City's chances of at least go to extra time here, because otherwise, 10 years ago, 6 years ago, even a 2-3 lead on aggregate after the first leg was obviously massive, because they would need to beat you by at least a 2 goal margin in the return leg at your own home. But now it's closer than people think, I believe.
Can you set us up like what your walk over to the Bernabeu was like? What's the atmosphere outside, inside?
It's pretty standard right now. I wouldn't say it's very frantic or very intense right now. I'm not particularly impressed by what I'm seeing so far from the fans, or even by approaching the stadium. I walked for like 45 minutes on my way here, and nothing special in contrast to some other nights when maybe Real Madrid needed something extra from their fans to go through. I feel like the fans feel the team is in a good spot, even though they shouldn't obviously relax, and they still have to take care of business.
The videos that I mean, I think at that point you were in the stadium, but Arancha and Guille both
Yeah.
posted a video of like the team bus
bus,
arriving. The
yeah.
atmosphere looked pretty good outside in that sense. Can I tell you what I'm worried about?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I don't mean to be the pessimist. I'm not pessimistic, but I can't lie. It does give me a little bit of anxiety. And I think this kind of ties into the fact that you were saying, I mean, you were there last year when Real Madrid played City at the Bernabeu. The atmosphere was incredible, right? The tifo was incredible, probably the best we've seen in like a decade.
No tifo tonight, by the way, Killian. Just heard from my contact in the Grada fans, and said that the tifo they got ready got vetoed. They don't know if it got vetoed by UEFA or the club. It was kind of an aggressive motto. I was told that it was something, and obviously paraphrasing because it was written in Spanish. It went something along, you won't leave the Bernabeu alive, and they don't know if it was UEFA or the club itself just yet, but not tifo tonight just because of it.
Pretty crazy, right? I mean, I thought it would have been for different reasons, because I noticed in the Real Madrid's pregame show on Real Madrid TV, there was nothing on the chairs. Like when
Right.
they were panning around the stadium when it was empty. Usually you can see what's on the chairs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There was nothing. So I was going to ask you about that, which kind of leads me to the thing I had a bit of anxiety about, and it has nothing to do with the tifo. But I just thought of the tifo and was like, I was wondering like how grandiose it would be or whatever. I think part of the reason why you've maybe sensed it's not as crazy as last year or in general is that we're ahead. And I don't
No
like
question.
I know it's really weird to say, but I kind of just don't like being ahead in some situations if it leads to complacency. If it leads to just like, a higher margin of victory and you come out of the gates really strong, then forget everything I said. I was wrong. But I just feel like I've seen these movies before at the Bernabeu. Not just me. We all have. You have. Everyone live on YouTube with us has seen this movie of being 3-0 up against Chelsea, of
Right.
being 3-0 up against Juve, and all it takes is like a rocky start, a bad giveaway to a City press early. You take a yellow card, you concede a big chance out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it's level on aggregate, and the momentum shifts. So just forgive me for being a little bit anxious about that aspect of it, but when the urgency is flipped to the other team, that kind of worries me a little bit.
I do agree with what you're saying. I do have like a counter.
Okay.
which is that this particular context where Real Madrid will be kind of allowed maybe by Manchester City's game plan to counterattack and to kind of unleash Vinicius, Mbappe, and Rodrigo against Manchester City's vulnerable transition defense is pretty big, in my opinion. This advantage and the fact that Manchester City will have to be aggressive and will have to press hard and all that, and obviously that will open the door for Vinicius and Mbappe to do their thing offensively in terms of counter-attacking and all that. So this particular context against this particular team may be a bit more favorable than in some other context or in some other circumstances.
I'll also add one more thing to balance out my pessimism and agree with you on. This City team looked mentally fragile to me.
Yeah.
And if you can get them to buckle a little bit, I could just see that happening. Yeah. All right. So how are we doing for time here? Let me see. I'd say we have about 5 minutes because I actually want to upload this on Spotify, Apple, and it really wouldn't make sense to do it if we uploaded too late. The buffet, the lack of buffet, the meal catering.
Usual stuff. Yeah, sandwich, croissant, chocolate bar, and green apple. So yeah, usual stuff.
They just haven't. It's just copy and paste the same meal for years.
Keeping it simple. You know what you're getting.
Anything you want to show?
No Chinese New Year special from the Bernabeu cooks.
Right. Meanwhile, the Etihad literally had a Chinese buffet in the first leg. Is there anything you want to show us in the stadium? Players warming up, or
the players entered the pitch a while ago. Let me see if the camera. You can sort of see it, I guess.
Can see a little bit. Can see it starting to fill up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's another point. It's 20 minutes to go, and it's not close to maybe 2/3 of the stadium are full right now. So yeah, people hurry up, man.
Also, the most of the atmosphere outside the stadium, I don't even think those guys will make it in because a lot of them are just ultra who are not going to be in the stadium. What did we miss? Did we miss anything, Lucas, before we adjourn?
Don't think we did. We tackled the Haaland situation, the Real Madrid's starting lineup. So I think we're kind of set for this, really, and really looking forward to see what we have in store for this match.
Yeah, I would say just if you guys looking for a little bit more time to kill in these next 20 minutes or so, I would urge you guys to read Matt's article, which is called "Ancelotti is Right. The Data Shows La Liga's Refereeing is More Inconsistent and Over-Reliant on VAR." And it's a really interesting angle. I would never have thought to write something like this or actually go into figuring out what the data says, but it's really interesting. And he goes
on that note.
Yeah,
really, really quick. The same contact and in the same conversation I had with the Grada fans source I have, he said that they're preparing something about this situation and about the referees and all that for the weekend's game.
Okay, there you go. So this article is really interesting. It goes into basically backing up what Ancelotti said about having more confidence in the refereeing on the European scale in the Champions League. Guys, please, for love of God, do not scramble after the game when you're looking for us. The post-game show is only for members. Go to patreon.com/managing Madrid. If you're on YouTube, there should be a join button underneath this video. You'll get the link ahead of time. Don't scramble looking for it. It's already posted for members. We will see you after the game. We got the entire crew coming on. Lucas will be hopping in and out live from the Bernabeu after the game. We got Leah coming on. I think we got Matt, maybe Angelo swinging in here and there. So we got a decent crew tonight, the best crew actually, and we are going to be seeing you guys after the game. Enjoy the game. Lucas, enjoy the stadium, enjoy the chocolate bar, and we'll see you after the game. Thanks, buddy.
Yes, sir. You too.